Welcome to another episode of the 9/11 Report between myself and, of course, renowned researcher and international journalist, I must say, because he's been traveling a lot, Leonardo Salvaggio. Leo, good afternoon. How you doing, pal?
Quite well. Thanks for inviting me again, Adam. It's my pleasure. And also, thanks for your kind words for calling me an international journalist. Yes, I did some traveling, especially in the US in the last years, to cover some of the topics I'm mostly interested in, one of which is 9/11, which is what is bringing us together today again.
Yeah, in fact, we're going to talk about the main antithesis of the report today is going to be your trip to San Diego. You went previously to Los Angeles and became the first 9/11 journalist I've ever seen that took pictures inside the King Fahd Mosque, not outside, but also inside. But today, we're going to talk about your visit to San Diego. In fact, this is the hub of Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi, two of the 9/11 hijackers that were involved with the hijacking of American Airlines Flight 77 that crashed at the Pentagon. Let's start with you, Leo. Tell us about the trip. Why did you want to go here in the first place, and what did the trip entail?
So, as you mentioned, I did Los Angeles last year. I went to Culver City to see the restaurant where Al Bayoumi met with the two guys, and also the mosque that where they used to go to the service. I was about to say Sunday service. Of course, it's not Sunday for Islam, but okay, we understand. We understand what I mean. It was Friday service or whatever it is. The mosque that they used to go to, and so this year I thought to myself, let's go to San Diego and see the other places where they went after being in Los Angeles. So this is how it started. I booked my trip in February and I was already going to reserve half a day or even more or a full day. Half a day was indeed enough to visit the places where these guys used to hang around. And so I did for myself an itinerary, which maybe is not well, I think it's pretty rational, but also, of course, I wanted to avoid having to go back. So I
Hmm.
did it like in a certain order. The first thing that I wanted to see was the Parkwood Apartments. That is where they stayed first with Al Bayoumi and then by themselves after a period that was used by Al Bayoumi himself to find another place for these people. So what happened is that I was in my hotel in downtown San Diego. I called Uber and, I booked the trip to the Parkwood Apartments. And one odd thing is that while taxi drivers are usually very silent, Uber drivers are usually very talkative because good conversation is actually part of the service. And so it was a nice chat. I enjoy speaking with these people because they can tell you a lot about the city and give you some advice. And this guy actually did give me some good advice about what to see and what and where to go in the city. But of course, he also asked, "How come you want to go there?" Because I think I'm probably the only one in all the period he has been a Uber driver that someone asked to be taken to the Parkwood Apartments. And of course, I didn't want to tell him the truth because I didn't want to spark even more questions. So I said, I'm going to visit friends who live there. So one interesting thing is that before you get there, you actually see from the street the Islamic Center, which is the place I went next. Because you see, I'm not sure if that thing is called a spire, but among me and you, just to make it understandable, over the roof you have this spire, whatever, with the star and the crescent on the top. So I knew that the Islamic Center was walking distance from the Parkwood Apartments. So I went there, and it's all residential. So all that you can see around you would be grocery stores, a liquor store. I remember two churches. One of them was Catholic, and the other one, I don't know. I don't mean that I don't remember. I never knew if it was Protestant or Catholic or whatever. And then you have, of course, the Islamic Center. So the guy dropped me off in between the two complexes, and I was looking for apartments 152 and 150. So basically, it's impossible to see the numbers from the street because the numbers are only visible from the inside walkway. So I think I understood which one is 152 because it's actually the first apartment of the second block. So I assumed that the bottom one on my right-hand side would have been that one. I'm not 100% sure because I could not see the numbers, the numbers of the apartment. I walked all around it, all around the block, and I could only see like two people either walking their dogs or bringing the garbage outside, or doing everyday stuff that people would do if they live there. And I took a couple of pictures of the whole complex, and that was basically about it. Then I went to the other complex that is just you just have to turn around to see where apartment 150 was, and that was pretty much impossible for the same reason. You cannot see the numbers from outside. I would have had to walk in, and of course it was impossible. There were two people talking to each other, probably neighbors, and so I waited for them to go away, and I took my pictures of the complex, and that was about it. Of course, you can find some of the pictures that I took on my blog. I wrote a post blog. It's both in Italian and in English, and it's available for everybody if you want to link it in the description to this video. And it felt weird that it's such a common, normal place for people who go there every day, but also to know the historical importance of that location because hijackers who killed 300 people at the Pentagon used to live there.
Mm. And this itself, what I want to do is I want to share with the people, the
Okay.
pictures that you took from your site. As you can see here, this is a picture that you took, and you can see, yes, you're right, that the numbers on the inside, as you can see, there's the blowed up, is you got to be in, there's the outside. So here's the inside apartment. So 152 to 199, you can see the apartments are two-story. Are these one and two bedrooms, Leo?
That's a very good question. I don't know. The only thing that I know is that numbers starting from one are ground floor and numbers starting with two are the second floor. So that's why I assume that 152 was the first one. And I think that I have a picture of one specific apartment. And in my understanding, that's the other block.
Right,
That's the other
that's the
block.
other, right.
That's the other block. If you if you go up a little bit,
Go up a little bit.
get up a little bit. No, sorry. Okay, this is the beginning. I think that I have a picture of one of the apartments. No, I don't. So I just have it. Sorry. So sorry for I just have it on my phone. I can probably
Okay.
send it over. But the first one of ground floor is probably 152. That's the best guess I could make.
Yeah. And and I'm pretty sure that the design of the building or the painting of the building is a lot different than it was back then. Because if you looked at old pictures of the old Parkwood apartments, it was a darker brown and shade. Well, this is 24 years ago too at the time. So 25 actually, because they lived there in the year 2000. So here you are, commiserating around the living quarters of Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi. And what did you? So you went to the Islamic Center from there,
Yeah. Yeah, so I went to the Islamic Center from there, and keep in mind that it was, I think it was 10:30, probably 11 in the morning in California.
okay?
It was very hot. So I did walk there, and I think it took me, that's the spire I was thinking of. I'm not sure that
Yep,
spire is the right word, but that's what I mean, right? This is what you see from the street. So
right,
this is how I understood also that it was walking distance. I walked
right.
for 10 minutes. I walked for 10 minutes, and so I reached the place there, and I entered the building, which is very white from the outside. I entered the building, and so there was a sign saying guests should talk to administration first. So I went to the administration office that was on my right hand side, and there was an armed guard in a bulletproof vest with a gun in his holster talking to the administration lady. So I regret not asking anybody why they had armed guards there because I haven't seen anything of the sort last year in Los Angeles, in the mosque in Los Angeles.
Right.
So I spoke to the lady and I said, "Can I see the prayer room?" And she was a woman of around 70 years old, something like that. She was wearing the Islamic dress, whatever it's called. Um, And she said, "Sure, you can. I'll take you." And so we walked a little bit till the entrance where I had to take my shoes off. And while I was doing this, she asked me something along the lines of, "How much do you know about Islam?" Because of course she wanted to explain me how it works. Like you go inside, it has to face east. You have the Quran on walls and things of the sort. And of course, I'm not a big expert, but of course, I can handle a simple conversation like that. I know enough about Islam to have that kind of conversation. So I said, yes, I know something. I know my share. So we did chat a little bit, and she walked me inside the prayer room, and she showed me around. She showed me shelves on the wall where they had Qurans in different translations. She told me that they had, of course, English, they had Arabic, they had some Asian languages such as Thai and others. I asked about Italian, just to say something, because that would have been the most reasonable question I would have asked her. And she says, I don't know, I'm not sure, probably we don't. And she showed me the place, I'm not sure how to call it, where the imam preaches during the services. And I could take some pictures. I thought I had some on the blog, but my memory can be wrong. Let me also check so that if you can probably, I'm not sure if the Italian version has more pictures. I don't think so. Because of
Yeah.
course I also have pictures of the inside. No, it's the same. Yes, the Italian version has more pictures, Adam.
Does it? Does it?
Oh yeah, that's my mistake. I have to copy paste them all. That's so. If you share your screen again and you go to the Italian version,
Okay.
I have to
Let,
fix that. I thought I had the same pictures.
I don't know. Yeah. Oh, I don't have the link for the Italian one.
No, it's same blog. It's just the second article instead of the first one.
Oh, okay. Is that right? Is that how it
It's just
works?
the next one.
Yeah, I gotcha. All right. So
Okay.
it would be all right. So you have more pictures in the Italian version.
Yes,
This
this is the same blog. So if you click on the banner and you go to the second article instead of the first one, there are more pictures. And
Oh,
that's
okay.
why
So
I was pretty sure that I also had the picture of the apartment that I
gotcha.
thought was
So this
152.
well, yeah, I'll share it right from here. So yeah, you have yeah, you do have a lot more
This is
pictures.
what
All
I
right.
mean.
So
Go up a little bit.
go up
Just
a little bit.
go up a little bit. This one, go down. See, there's a go down, down. Next one,
Go
next
down
picture.
more. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
next.
Sorry.
This is 152, I think. This
152.
is, I think, 152.
Would it be up here or down here? You don't know.
No,
No, I
on
think it
I
was.
would be
I think it was.
down
Yeah, I think it was downstairs
downstairs, but the number should be behind the wall on your left-hand side.
over here.
Yeah.
Right. Interesting. So I
Down,
do
if you
believe they
go
were on the ground
down,
floor.
sorry
Yeah.
about that. I made a mistake because I thought I had all the pictures in both articles the
Oh,
same
not
way,
at
but I
all.
wrote it with my tablet when I was traveling. So probably that's why I missed bits and pieces here and there.
I think it's interesting. As you can see, look, 129 to 151,
Yeah.
229 to 250. So right here on the inside, like as Leo said, would be the apartments where the numbers can't be seen on the outside. That's interesting too. So if you're on the outside, you don't know which apartment you're going to. But this is the Islamic Center, and look at this. Lots of nice design.
Yeah, and we have pictures of the inside. This is what I mean. If you see right in front of you here, just on the right, you see that there's indeed that structure. This is where the imam preaches.
Right. This
And
by the way,
I think I also have pictures of the shelf. And
you
you can
do.
also
Okay.
see the shelves on the shelves on. Yeah.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, there we go. So
Here you go.
yeah. So, by the way, this is where Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi were praying at the behest of Omar al-Bayoumi. Um, and from here, Leo, you went to a very important place where very few people have ever been. And this is where the Imam, like Leo says, preaches from. I forgot the name of this. I forgot the name of it. But anyway, you
Uh,
then went to, I think, did you go to the gas station or the Al Ribiyat Mosque first?
no, the gas station first. So what
You
happened
went,
is that, well, first of all, I had to pick a place to visit because the gas station is not the only place where these guys lived, where these guys worked. Because I also know that there's a 7-Eleven where they worked. And so the funny thing is that the day before, I went for dinner with a friend of mine who lives in San Diego, who happens to be a former DEA special agent, so he knows quite a while about this kind of topics. And he told me something like that his daughter used to go to the same 7-Eleven where these two guys used to work. I could not see everything because I would have to tour the whole city, so I decided to pick this gas station. So I called from the Islamic Center, I called another Uber and I asked the guy to take me to the mosque, but to stop at the gas station because when you book your Uber, you can block more than one stop. So I told the driver at the first stop, no one is getting off of the car. I just have to take a couple of pictures, and then you take me to my final destination. So I don't know if the driver was wondering how come this guy comes all the way from Italy to be taken from an Islamic center to a mosque. What I know is that when we stopped at the gas station, he did ask, "Why do you want to take pictures of a gas station?" And so I got off the car, I took a couple of pictures, then I went back into the car. And the best answer I could give him was, I work in the oil and gas industry, and I like to see how gas stations change during the years because I want to compare my picture with the ones on Google Street View. While it's definitely true that I work in the oil and gas company for an oil and gas company, that's not the reason why I was there. And the reason why I wanted to take the picture had nothing to do with my job. So I took a couple of pictures of the gas station. People were looking at me, and that was it. Actually, there's not much
Right.
you can see. It's just a gas station.
Right. So for those who don't know, the gas station that is called Chevron here and is the blow up. So this used to be called Sam's Start Mart, and it was headed by Sam Mustafa, who owned the gas station at the time. Is an associate of both Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi, hired them both. Nawaf al-Hazmi was there first while al-Mihdhar visited Yemen for his pregnant wife, came back, worked at Sam's Start Mart. And it's alleged that here, both al-Mihdhar and al-Hazmi had even told other employees of the Start Mart and the associates of both al-Mihdhar and al-Hazmi about a big attack upcoming in the next couple of weeks. That's what the FBI wrote in their pen bomb reports, and it's also revealed in the very, very vague news articles that are still existing today, specifically Los Angeles Times and San Diego Tribune, I believe it's called. But this is a very unknown place to a lot of people, Leo. But this is actually a nerve center for both al-Hazmi and al-Mihdhar, and also Stan Mustafa, who, by the way, is currently doing, I think, a 30-year bid for fraud, tax fraud, and other felonious charges involving a money scheme that he was involved in. Sam Mustafa. Your next stop was this area.
So if I remember well, still about the gas station, that used to be Texaco, right?
Texaco or Sam's Start Mart?
Okay, doesn't matter.
Well, either way,
Yeah.
Sam's Start Mart is the one that to talk about other than Texaco, because it's alleged there that they revealed some of the plans of the planes operation. Now, they did, like, no, by the way, al-Mihdhar and al-Hazmi never held a job down for long. They always moved around every 2 or 3 months to other jobs. Maybe this was meant to, put a cold trail on anybody who was following them, because remember, al-Mihdhar basically did say that Omar al-Bayoumi was a spy, and that they thought they were being followed out of the Los Angeles International Airport anyway, and that he revealed that to the Abdussalam Sheikh, who lived with them in Lebanon Grove, California. Maybe that's another place you could go to too one day. But you went to a very, very another very important place called the Al Ribiat Mosque, and that's where Anwar al-Awlaki taught at and held many meetings with Khalid al-Nawaf al-Hazmi. What made you go there?
So I went with the same Uber driver who took me to the gas station.
You
And
did.
what surprised me is that this is a very narrow street, and you see nothing from out of this specific street because you have a very large street. Then you
Right.
make a left, and you end up in this very strict street, and you can see nothing. See, there's no spire, there's no star, there's no crescent, there's nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the other side. Not
Is it?
I think, but this I think this is the main entrance. The interesting thing is that the address, the official address, is actually the parking lot, which is this one.
Is it?
So
You know what, Leo, it looks like a warehouse.
indeed, it looks like either like a
Yeah.
warehouse or
Right.
a house.
Right. Doesn't look like
It
mosque
looks
if anything.
nothing Islamic. But it's
No,
the
not at
right
all.
place because if you see the pictures from the 9/11 journalist
Yeah.
investigation,
Yeah.
you can see that the place from outside is that one, and then you can recognize the roof, which is like this. Okay,
Yeah.
so you can
I
recognize the
see.
roof. So I got to the parking lot. It was empty, so I started assuming that probably the place was closed. I tried all the doors, I knocked, but there was nobody. So if in my picture you can also see that there's a shelf with some men's shoes in there. So I assume probably somebody's here, but I don't have an explanation for that. Probably it's just shoes that they leave there like forever at all times. I knocked on the door and nobody answered. So I walked all around it, all around the house to get to the main entrance, not the one from the parking, but the other one from the street. And it was the
Right.
same stuff. The only thing that I remember is that there was a sign saying ladies this way and guys this way. Again, I knocked on the door. I tried to open it. There was nobody, unfortunately. That would have been the most important thing to see during my trip. I could not. There just was no way I could get in that.
There was no way. So nobody really came out. You couldn't meet anybody and nothing to talk about there besides, the history behind it. By the way, that would be correct because the address for Al-Awlaki's Al-Ribiyat Mosque is 7173 Ribiyat. And there it is, right here. There you go. This is what it looks like. And it looks like they're holding a service out here, praying um, probably the Fajr prayer. I'm willing to guess if it's morning. But here, yeah, here you go. This is exactly it. So, Leo, yeah, you did. That's the right place. Um, so,
And if you Google
and
the
by
name
the
of the mosque, you can also see pictures of the prayer hall or the prayer room or whatever it's called, and you can recognize the roof.
oh, yeah, it's very distinct. By the way, like I said, it looks like a warehouse, if anything. Interestingly enough,
Absolutely.
for those who are very thorough in your research, the address is actually reinforced through the Operation Encore, which reveals that the address of the Al Ribiab Mosque. And as you can see, I'll lower myself. You can see 7173 Sarmac Street in La Mesa, California. That's where you went, and that's actually the
Yep,
first
that's
time. I
where I
think
went.
this is the first time we see the full address being revealed to the public regarding
That's where I took it from. Yeah.
yeah, that's correct. All right, so from there, Leo, where did you want to go, or was that the end of it?
No, that was the end of it because the other option would have been the 7-Eleven, but I didn't even know where it was. Moreover, it was
Right.
lunchtime, and I ran out of time. No, that was the end of it. But so I have to admit that it took me much longer than last year because I think that last year I did everything in 1 hour or so, even less than that.
Mm.
Because actually, yeah, probably 1 hour, less than that, something like that. This year I had to take 2 hours full to see all the places that I wanted to see. So it took me much more time. And I have to say that, of course, the most important thing would have been the Islamic Center this time, because this was the only place where I could actually go in and talk to somebody. So the only person I talked to actually was the administration lady. Of course, I didn't ask her, do you know that two 9/11 hijackers used to come here? Because I would have ruined everything. I mean, this person was so kind
Oh
to
yeah,
me that we just discussed about Islam, and that was about it. I wanted to I didn't want to irritate or make people feel uncomfortable. I wanted to
right.
take pictures of the
Yeah,
inside, so that was
yeah.
my goal. Okay, and I have to admit that I've been advised have a good excuse if people ask you why you want to go inside a mosque. Actually, nobody ever asked me anything. And if you think about it, there's no reason why they should. I mean, if you just want to see a place like a mosque or a church, why should everybody argue? Like they should be happy of having you in. I mean, you're even a
Right.
worshiper, you're either one of them, and in that case, of course, it's you're very welcome to go in. But even if you're not, you're just curious, you want to see around. Why shouldn't they be happy about somebody being interested in their stuff, in their, church, mosque, or whatever it is? Of course, they let you in. Of course, they're very happy to have someone visiting. And I did have a couple of excuses ready, but I didn't have to use them, and they totally make sense.
Let me ask you a question there, Leo. The places that you went to on this trip in San Diego, were they in walking distance to one another, or do you need a car to get around?
Okay, so the first two were definitely walking distance, and I think that this is a key point. Because the reason why these guys were staying at the Parkwood Apartments was that the Islamic Center was walking distance.
Correct. Yeah.
Then, if I remember well, I had to take Uber to go to the gas station, and because the distance was like pretty important, it was big distance. And I think that the gas station and the mosque were close, but it was very hot. And also, since I had to take Uber to go to the gas station, and at the end of the day, I just wanted to take a couple of pictures that take like 3 seconds, it wouldn't have made any sense to walk from there to the mosque because it was very hot. It was a very hot day, not as hot as last year. Actually, I have to say that San Diego is not as hot as LA because LA in the afternoon or late in the morning gets very hot, while San Diego is pretty much enjoyable. All around the clock. But during lunchtime, it can get uncomfortable. So I think that you can walk from the gas station to the mosque, but it would have been like half an hour and doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, the reason why I'm asking is, and you knew where I was going this right away, is that, just like in LA where they got rides to certain areas because they don't know where their way around, same thing would happen here in San Diego, whether they got rides from certain individuals, and that would mean that the associates of these people either got their orders from individuals like Omar al-Bayoumi, for example, or whoever, and they don't even realize that they're part of an operation that they don't need to know. They just need to know to pick up al-Mihdhar and al-Hazmi, drive them around and help them out. But if they're in walking distance to another, then they don't need an associate every here and there. Interestingly enough, is that according to the FBI in San Diego, Stephen Butler, the handler for Abdus Sheikh, also known as Sam, his codename Sam, regarding al-Mihdhar and al-Hazmi, that they were taking, even limousine rides in the middle of the night, according to residents who lived at the Parkwood Apartments, seeing that there were, elaborate cars coming to pick up al-Mihdhar and al-Hazmi in the middle of the night, always talking on cell phones and whatnot. So, you have to wonder, just how wide the network is regarding people that may have indirect involvement with al-Mihdhar and al-Hazmi. So you flew back home there, Leo. You really liked the trip. I'm glad you did. I'm glad you
Yeah.
did it because, first of all, Los Angeles, San Diego, the nexus is almost forgotten about these days. And by you traveling to these two areas, it gives us a fresher perspective and shows us the history behind al-Mihdhar and Hazmi. And I'm glad you did it, Leo. I'm glad you did it.
Well, that was the main goal of the whole trip. So the reason why I picked San Diego as one of the destinations is that I wanted to see these places after going to LA last year. So far, I've been to New York 4 times after 9/11. I've been to the Pentagon. I've been to Los Angeles and San Diego. I hope I'll be able to go to Shanksville sooner or later. And who knows? I mean, I really want to go. It's just I think that it's just a little bit complex because you would have to go to Pittsburgh, then drive like 1.5 hours, something like that. So
Right.
more or less, it takes you one day to do that. I don't know how much there is to see around Pittsburgh, so I don't know if it makes sense. I will have to study that.
Yeah, well, for the 25th anniversary, I had an idea of maybe, I'll go down to either the World Trade Center or the Pentagon and, do a special there or something like that. I don't know. It's just something that popped into my mind. But while you were away, Leo, another event took place here in the Southern District of New York, a monumental one. Finally, some good news. Judge George Daniels made a decision to rule against the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in withholding, in allowing for the 9/11 victims' families to continue their civil lawsuit against the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for their roles in the 9/11 attacks. It came after a month of deliberations between Daniels and the evidence, and I'm pretty sure that he got a lot of pressure from the State Department and the Department of Justice, but nevertheless, Daniels continues. So, all right, good news here, Leo. What could, I mean, there's so many doors that could happen here. New evidence, supposedly, again, Florida Bulldog, great people over there, Dan Christian, Robin Swan, Anthony Summers, and you have a great relationship with them. This opens up new evidence for Sarasota, the Al-Hijj family, Adnan Sukna Juna, where Ziad Jarrah, Muhammad Atta, Mo, and Al Shei all stood in the Sarasota apartments and whatnot. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia must be feeling the pressure here, Leo.
Well, I think, yes, indeed. So I think that one of the things that probably we haven't said so far, and that for casual readers, for casual listeners cannot be very clear, is that the places that I saw last year and this year are not only connected to 9/11, but they are connected to the Saudi connection to 9/11, meaning that in these places is where the hijackers used to hang around with this guy by the name of Omar al-Bayoumi, who is, because he's still alive. He's still alive and free, who is a Saudi agent who helped them out. So we have to understand why the Saudi government somehow wanted to help them. So I think that it's very important they can be held accountable, but probably we also need to understand that this is very complex because, of course, the royal family has so many branches that the fact that a few princes knew what these guys were up to doesn't mean that actually the government, like the king or the most important princes, knew. But that doesn't change the fact because this is lack of control. Okay, for instance, let me make an example. If some of the branches of the U.S. government were planning to strike somebody, another nation, even without Trump knowing, he would be accountable for not controlling. Okay, so this is why the government of Saudi Arabia has to be held accountable for what Omar al-Bayoumi did. Also because we knew how much al-Bayoumi helped these guys, and we also know that al-Bayoumi was in close contact with the embassy. Therefore, he had strong ties to the government. So I think that all goes down to why they did that. And I think that the word of double agents and triple agents is very complex. Therefore, we have different possible explanations. The first one is that most likely, probably because the CIA were probably aware of what al-Bayoumi was doing, the CIA were aware, is that they were on a recruiting mission and that they underrated the threat. But we can also have another explanation, that is that the government had to somehow give something back to Al-Qaeda to keep them at bay and to avoid having them strike within the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia itself. And then there's another option, that is that probably Al-Qaeda infiltrated some of the branches of the government. Since Saudi Arabia is very complex, and since the world of spies is also very complex, actually these three different options can overlap. Okay, they can all be true at the same time, even if it can seem very confusing to people who are not experts about how this kind of things work.
Yeah, this is a huge point that you raise here, Leo, and it's something that I've echoed in the past about the 9/11 truth movement, who like to blame the entire federal government of being involved with the 9/11 attacks. And that's a very simplistic view. It's not very reasonable either, because you're going to have so many people to basically in the know and basically in front of a camera, because a lot of government, these high level government officials are very public officials. They're in front of a camera. Do you want them to know and maybe slip up? I mean, really, let's just talk about it. Imagine George W. Bush Jr. Knew about the 9/11 attacks. You really want that guy to know every single detail while he's in front of a camera? I don't think so. He's not very smart or bright in front of a camera. Nevertheless, you may have certain factions within the Saudi government maybe a very small percentage that had, intimate details about times, dates, when, where, and this of this nature. The intelligence services probably knew of an attack was coming, but didn't know the specifics of an attack. This is why I'm very careful when I report, because I don't want to paint a broad picture, because you could ruin your reputation this way and also come into legal troubles regarding a countersuit that you're, defaming this person, and, with something as magnificent as this. Um, so yeah, I agree in that respect. And now, look, for example, Muassad al-Jarrah, who's the head of the operation itself, this planes operation, who did he get his, orders from? Or is it just him? How far up does he go up the ladder? Or did it start from him? We don't know yet, because we don't have everything available for the public itself. So that's a fantastic point that you raised there, and something that's very valuable for, yes, for the very beginning or moderate researcher itself, someone who's just coming into, just don't paint the broad brush and blame everybody as guilty. But yes, Trump would get in trouble, if it was coming under his, just like Mohammed bin Salman. I'm not saying that bin Salman isn't guilty of, certain crimes. He is, but is he guilty of 9/11? No, he probably doesn't even know what happened. But yet, because he's in charge of the government, while his father's an invalid, yes, he would take the fall. And I think this is going to be the case next year or in the upcoming about 12 to 18 months, where the State Department is basically going to say, hey, listen, just, 100 billion, that's what they're asking for, the 9/11 victims' families, just pay it, and, we could push everything else under the rug or whatever. I don't know, but they're going to be pressured. But it's difficult. But Saudi Arabia could basically say, no, we're not going to pay it. Then let's just keep this ball rolling in the courts and see how far it goes or whatever. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and make definitive statements. But Leo, the 9/11 24th anniversary is next week. What are your plans? What do you got going, or what do you want to do? Tell us what you got in the future.
So actually, since I started, well, I haven't started, but my main area of interest in the last 10 years or so is collecting stories from survivors and eyewitnesses.
Hmm.
So I'll publish an article with the personal account of another survivor. I think I have more than 70 interviews on the website so far. So it's going to be another incredible story. A survivor who was in Tower 2. And I'm going to publish that article on the anniversary itself in the morning. And then either by the end of September or in October, I still have to understand, because I must admit that I'm pretty busy with interviews these days. I'll have to, I will make an interview with a former FBI special agent who was investigating bin Laden before 9/11, therefore in the 90s. So this is what I'm working on right now.
This is great. Yes, indeed. I myself, I think I have an interview upcoming with geopolitics, and I forgot the name of the show, but they just reached out to me on email. Of course, I said yes. They have a reputation behind them, but for the anniversary, I don't know. I'm very confused as to what I want to do, but I'm probably going to do something, because I always do something just on the day before. The day itself, I might have a discussion with somebody. I don't know just yet, but I'll do something. But up until the day itself, I'll always publish a video itself. Leo, I think there's nobody, past or present, that has interviewed more survivors of the 9/11 attacks than yourself. And we've had some of the best researchers on planet Earth regarding this, but you're the most proficient in this area. And I debt of thanks to you for doing it and cataloging it on your blog itself and your YouTube channel as well. So you're one of the best in the world, I think, not just in the country but in the world regarding this subject, and you deserve the recognition and the efforts of what you've done and the work that you've done over the past 10 plus years that you're doing it. And I thank you very much, and for doing these collabs, which I enjoy very much doing every month.
Well, thank you. Actually, it's fun that you say not in the nation, but worldwide. I'm actually not in the same nation as you are. So if you
Right,
say
right.
not
But
in the nation,
I'm
that would be in Italy, and I'm the only one.
right.
No,
I'm just counting both, like the United States and the world.
That's great. That's great. No, as far as being invited, I've also been invited by our mutual friend, Nelson Martins, also known as DJ Thermal, next week to
Yeah.
have pretty much the same speech as we are. This is pretty much the same discussion as we're having now about my trip to San Diego. So that will be on his Patreon next week, I believe.
Oh,
We
is it
haven't done it
really?
yet.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Oh,
I
thank
would have told you.
goodness. Thank
Yeah,
goodness.
I would have
All right,
told you that.
Leo. All right. So listen, I'll talk to you soon, Leo. And really, thank you very much for doing these collabs, and thank you very much for doing going these trips and revisiting, important history relating to 9/11. And guys, listen, I'll see you in the next couple of videos. But hey, me and Leo will see you next month with our next and 12th episode. Have a good night, guys.
Bye bye.